Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Sagittarius energy. And we're going to do a 10 card spread, and we're going to look at it from a couple different perspectives, because if I read it as all high vibe, not everybody's high vibe. If I read it from low vibe, not everybody's low vibe. Everybody has free will and everybody's learned different lessons in life, so we're going to read it from the perspective of people who harness a more high vibrational energy. Basically, they've learned some lessons in life to temper their more immature, egoic, selfish, lazy, self-centered, all about themselves nature, And some people might have a problem with one or all of those things, and they'll be handling this energy differently. Sagittarius is about higher learning and education, but it is fire sign energy, and for maybe the first 30, 40 years of our life, we have a lot of lessons to learn, and we can be pretty fired up about these things of the world that we want to make our life about and go indulge in and make our, we grow up in the world. There's a lot of things in the world that we want. And sometimes we can kind of make those things more important, and we're kind of tipped out of balance, kind of not keeping things in perspective. We'll all repeat some patterns of some poor behavior maybe over and over and over until we learn the lesson we're meant to learn from it. And, for more in our pride and ego, the more reluctant we are to learning lessons. So, okay, the overarching reason for the reading is the Eight of Pentacles, Virgo energy, which can be what we invest our time, energy, and effort into. At the end of the story, we have the Lover's card. We're going to invest our time, energy, and effort into what we love. The outcome is the Seven of Swords in reverse. Are we still caught up in the illusion, not wanting to look at life from a higher perspective? Are we more about ourself, the world, ego, image, self-indulgence? Or have we seen through the illusion of the Seven of Cups and realized love is what makes it all worthwhile? If I have a job that pays great or whatever, but I hate my job, do we really want to keep doing it? If I'm in friendships or relationships that seem shadowy, Seven of Cups of Scorpio, can be that they're more superficial and shallow. Is that what I want to keep investing my time, energy, and effort into? We can put in work and effort into things because we keep thinking, isn't that what's going to make me happy? But we could have not been looking at life from a higher perspective or keeping things in perspective. We could have gotten up in our head. We could have gotten up in our fear, our insecurity, our codependency. Just kind of got tipped out of balance where we lost focus of love and love of self and healing and growing and maturing ourselves, because we got so focused on indulging in other things to make us happy or making our life about other people than living our authentic truth. Some people have given up on their dreams. The Seven of Swords is Aquarius energy, which also represented by the Star card. Some people gave up their dreams of love, don't believe in love. There is no higher truth or justice to aspire to. The life is about them or the world, and the world says to make their life about these certain things, or people told them to make their life about certain things, they'd be happy. And some people are still living their life like that. So some people work through the illusion and the mental confusion to see the truth that it's about love. Other people haven't. So what is going on in Sagittarius energy? We start out with the card not showing itself. We come in contact with all these different people in the world, and we don't realize that some people reject harnessing this energy in a high vibe way. We tend to think other people think like we do. Other people can get in relationship with some more high vibe people, and they think they harness this energy in a more shadowy way, and they don't realize they harness it in a more high vibe way. The Temperance card, which is Sagittarius energy, and the Temperance card, a lot of times in the Temperance card, this cup has fire in it. That cup is water, where we're trying to balance out the fact that in our fire sign nature, we want these certain things of the world. But we offset it with love. Are we, the temperance card talks about, are we patient? Are we balanced? Are we kind of tipping out of balance one way or the other? Some people are out of balance and they reject harnessing high vibe temperance energy. I don't want to be patient. I want what I want when I want it. I'm more aligned with my fiery nature than my loving nature. Other people could be the opposite. They are more balanced. They want these things of the world too, but they also temper it with their more loving, hopeful, believing nature. It's not just all about me. It's not just all about these things of the world. It has to be balanced with love. I want a job that I love. I want to be in relationships with people I love. I want people who are in relationship with me to be authentic and loving. And some people, the next card is the King of Wands. More fire energy. You know, some people, again, I just want to indulge myself in the world. I want what I want. I'm sure I'll be happy. So they're kind of a little more inspired. Could be by work. Could be to live more from their mind than their heart. Don't want to do love. Love could confuse them. Some people haven't distinguished between sex and love, and they think sex is love, but you can have sex with all sorts of people. Doesn't mean it's going to turn into a loving relationship. Some people think it will, so they try sex to try to get someone to love them. You know, some people want to be in relationships with other people who are in a mental prison about love, especially if they don't want to do love. Or shadowy King of Wands, male or female, can be people who like to control people in a relationship. I want someone to work with me in a relationship, but I don't believe in love. I know I'll try to go get someone who's in a mental prison about loving and believing in themselves, maybe about having a new beginning, or believing in themselves, or believing in their dreams with the Sun card and the Three of Wands. And I'll go get in a relationship with them, and maybe they'll have a new beginning with me, and my dreams will come into reality with them. And they could turn their back on the option, which is available, is to put in work and effort from love. Well, no, that takes work and effort. I don't want to put in work and effort. I just kind of want to get myself in a relationship that might be good for my ego and my image. The Sun card is Leo energy, the other fire sign energy. So some people in all three of their fire sign energies of self, we all tap into fire sign energy. We all have our Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo nature. And we're either kind of more tipped into our worldly view of our fire sign energy or our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And some people are like, some people don't even want to bring a dream into reality, which is what the Three of Wands can be. Some people don't want to have a more authentic, loving relationship, which is high vibe Leo energy. Some people don't want to be more authentically themselves in the world. We can either put in work and effort to free ourselves from things that manipulate us to live our more authentic truth and life. And some people are like, no, I don't want to be more authentically myself. I don't want to do love. I don't want to have to put in... That all takes work and effort, you know. To be more comfortable in your skin, to be your more authentic self in the world, and to not be manipulated by your fear, your insecurity, your pride, your ego, the world, other people. That all takes work and effort. And some people are more inspired to live from their egoic nature. I'll let my more egoic nature run my life. I'll just keep my more authentic nature imprisoned. We have free will. One aspect of ourself, our more worldly nature, our more loving nature, is kind of in the driver's seat of our life. And some people, the masculine cards can just refer to the fact that people operate more from their egoic nature and they keep their more emotionally intuitive, loving nature imprisoned. People that are in an opposite energy of that, the masculine energies can represent how people are taking action in the world, because we can all go present ourselves in the world any way we want. I'm a stable, grounded, emotionally just, fair, loving person. You should get in a relationship with me. But some people, that is the truth of who they are, male or female. They are who they say they are. In high vibe Gemini energy, which is about our dualistic nature, those people are focused on truth and love. And other people are in a mental prison about truth and love, and they choose to live more from their mind than their heart. I don't want to do love, that's confusing, requires me to put in work and effort to heal and grow and mature myself, maybe be more authentic, be more loving, believe in myself, believe in my dreams. I might not. I'm just more about myself. I indulge myself in being more about myself. I want to go get in a relationship with someone who might have fear of loving and believing in themselves, who look to me to be the answer to all their life problems, who turn their back on their options and putting in work and effort to love themselves. Perfect. I'll be in a relationship with you. Will you make your life more about me? Will you stay in a relationship with me? Will you never work through your own emotional confusion and fears and insecurities to love and believe in yourself to require more? Perfect. Let's get in a relationship. Let's have a new beginning. Let's date. Let's get married. Work here. I love people who don't look at life from a higher perspective. I love people who are caught up in their fear and their insecurity and their pride and their ego and their lust and their greed or whatever. Want to go indulge in these things and make our life about these things. We're sure it'll make us happy. And there's some people that are in relationships with people like that. And they're both on the same page. You know, we tend to like to hang out with people who are on the same page as us. And there's some people that I'm more focused on the world or my career or status and image and power. And people can go through different phases of life where you're more focused on those things and being in a relationship. But some people put all that work and effort to have a certain status image in the world because they think that will make them look like a shining star in the world. And then because they look like, in the Three of Wands, that their dreams are coming into reality. Like, the things that people in the world want, they have. And so then other people will get in a relationship with them because they have those things, right? High vibe loving people can have a lot of status, image, power, be charming, be attractive. All these things, they don't try... They did those things and accumulated those things or those certain traits, characteristics, and assets out of wanting to maybe feel proud of themselves, to free themselves from things that imprison them. I want to feel more stable and grounded within myself. I want to be more authentically myself instead of being in a mental prison. I want my dreams to come into reality. But I'm not doing those things just for the point of trying to get someone else to view me a certain way so that I can manipulate them to get in a relationship and stay in a relationship with me. You know, it's kind of this whole intention of why do we do what we do. Some people are motivated. That's high vibe Virgo. You know, I want to free myself from things that manipulate me. I don't want to keep being more immature. I don't want to keep being in my ego. I don't want to be in my fear and my insecurity. I don't want other people in the world and everything to manipulate me. I want to be free to live my more authentic life, and then I in turn want to be in relationships with people who are like that. Anybody can try to present themselves as being more high vibrational than they are, create an illusion, try to confuse people about the truth of who they are. And that's what they chose to invest their time, energy, and effort into. Could they have status, image, power, be attractive, be charming? Yeah, but they don't. It's kind of like they don't value it. High vibe Virgo, you appreciate your worth and value because you've put in work and effort to have those things. But it's kind of like people who kept putting in all this work and effort to have these certain things. The whole reason why they put in work and effort to look a certain way or have a certain education or have a certain status or image was all to manipulate people. So it can be where, sadly, they don't even appreciate, you know, isn't it crazy if you've known people that do a really good job at putting on a show in the world? They could have all those things, but they don't value those things. It's like, no, I still have to try to manipulate and control people to get them to stay in a relationship with me. It's like, if people got in a relationship with you, maybe they appreciate you and what you bring to the table, but they don't appreciate, like, it's kind of like turning their back on believing in themselves and believing in their dreams. Like, no, people really wouldn't love me. And so then that can be a lack of self-worth. Let's go look at these two pages. And I think if you're a loving, nurturing person, you can be someone who always tries to help other people feel better and love and believe in themselves. But then if somebody loves you and wants to treat you in a loving way, it's like, oh, that's different. I'm not used to that. I'm used to trying to make other people love themselves. I'm not used to being in a relationship with someone who loves me. And then that too can kind of be, why do I think that way? Why do I view my life that way? Why don't I believe that I deserve love? And sometimes it can be your own lack of self-worth. Let's go look at these two cards. The Ten of Cups and the Two of Pentacles. Some people that do try to manipulate people, they could lack a little patience because they want what they want. And they definitely can be trying to manipulate and control people because that makes them feel maybe safe and secure. But then they can get in relationships with people, and I think they're always in a mental prison that other people will be illuminated to the truth that they are more about themselves, and it can be more about the ego and the image and the status and the money and the materialism, or just codependency of being in a relationship. Because some people can feel like if they're in a relationship, that says something about their worth and value. Because it's always being so concerned about how other people view them, and they got kind of a weird way of looking at life where other people just live their authentic life. And if they're, they could be in a mental prison, would like to find some people who are more on the same page as them, but they're not going to stay all up in their head about it. It's like, if there's no one around that seems to be the right person for me to get in a more involved relationship, I'm going to just enjoy my life, enjoy my friends and family, my career. And I assume that, the right people will come along one day. I don't want to get myself tangled up in a relationship that I shouldn't be in to begin with. Why would I do that? Lust, greed, pride, ego. Is that fair to the people that we get in a relationship with? It's like, well, I don't really want to be in a relationship with you, but because I think it says something about my status or image, or because of my lust or my greed or whatever, I'll get in a relationship with you. And then some of those people, then what if someone shows up who does seem to be like someone they'd really like to be in a relationship with? Well, that could be a situation that some people are in right now. They created the illusion like, oh no, this is the person I'm in a relationship with. Oh my gosh, we are so happy. They're just like everything I was ever looking for. And it was just kind of an illusion they created because they wanted to be in a relationship. Well, then what if someone comes along that seems to be someone they'd really like to be in a relationship with? Well, then they're in a mental prison about revealing the truth, because they did create this illusion that this was like their dream come true in a way. And they put work and effort into it also. And also, we are emotionally complex people. We wouldn't keep staying in a relationship with people if to a degree we didn't get along with them. And they could be fun to be around. They could be loving or encouraging or supportive and warm. Are they a high vibe person where some people... and some people when they're going through this, they could have gotten in relationships. They could have been hiding that they were just trying to balance out their emotions, that there was someone else maybe that they thought was maybe more on the same page as them, but something happened in that relationship, so they weren't still in a relationship. And They could have gotten in a relationship with someone else. And then if someone comes along that does seem to be more of someone who they thought was more on the same page as them, some of them might work through the emotional confusion. Scorpio talks about that we are these emotionally complex human beings. And some people will see the truth that, it is the people that I've been working with that, maybe I used to kind of be up in a mental prison about it and I wasn't sure. And then sometimes when other people or circumstances arise that really make us have to kind of work through what our truth really is, and it kind of forces us to work through some of our emotional confusion and do some of this inner work about what we used to think would be like the dream life or whatever. Some people could be illuminated to the fact that, there was something maybe at one time in my life that I thought, and at that time it could have been a dream and people that we thought we wanted to have a dream come into reality with. But then as time goes by, and maybe we also learn some lessons in life, and if we're in environments with people who are maybe more loving and encouraging and supportive, they might not fit the idea of how we thought it was going to come into reality or how it was going to look. Some people, Leo energy, some people could be more bold, brave, confident. Some people never thought they'd kind of be in a relationship with someone who is more bold or brave or confident, because they could be a little bit more in a mental prison and they never thought they'd be in a relationship with someone who is like that. They could be in a relationship with someone who is much more high vibe. Leo is warm and giving and encouraging and supportive, and they could kind of realize that being in an environment with people like that, it really did help them work through some of their issues. And us also being that type of person to ourselves, we can always be in a mental prison because something in our life didn't work out the way we wanted. And we can be self-sufficient within ourselves, and hopefully we have some loving and encouraging people in our life, but we can do that within ourselves. I view high vibe Leo as being loving and encouraging to yourself, offering yourself compassion and forgiveness for mistakes you've made, offering love and compassion to people in your past for mistakes they made. Doesn't mean you have to get back in relationships with those people or whatever. I just accept I was a fallible human being, they're a fallible human being. And because I still believe in my dreams, I no longer am going to stay in a mental prison about some illusions I had about some people that I had hoped would maybe be more loving and that I could have had love for, that maybe my dream was different than their dream, maybe what they're driven and motivated by, and maybe they like to live more from their mind than their heart, maybe they are more about ego or themselves. And we can do that work within ourselves to love ourselves, and hopefully we work with people in our life who are loving and encouraging of us doing that. There could be other people in our life who didn't want us to do that work within ourselves, didn't want us to hang out with people in our life, because in a world of duality, we can have all these different people in the world. Some people do align with our more hopeful, believing nature, and they are loving and encouraging and supportive. And then we have people who align with our more shadowy nature, who want us to be more in our fear and our insecurity and our pride and our ego and our lust or our greed or our codependent or more materialistic, whatever view of life, because that's how they live their life. And they want whatever manipulates them, they want to have manipulate us. And for us to stay in those workplaces, friendships, or relationships. And We could wish some of those people that were a little more shadowy, we wish they'd be illuminated to the truth. We wish that they had the same dream as we have. Both the Aquarius Seven of Swords and the Aries Three of Wands can be about the dreams that we have and what inspires and motivates us. And we could just realize that what drives and motivates us is different. And when we did this work, and some people are doing this work within themselves right now, they could have some people in their life that don't like it. And they are trying to manipulate and control them to get them back in a mental prison, because some of the shadowy people in their life don't want to do love, and they don't want to look at life from a higher perspective. They have their own ideas of what kind of relationships they want to be in, and it could be where it's more about them. And we let them create the illusion that it's love. And we keep putting in work and effort to bring a dream into reality that's never going to come into reality, because we're trying to bring a dream into reality from love, and that's not what drives and motivates them. And high vibe people stay focused on the truth and love to it's important to keep maintaining balance within yourself. And that's what they didn't know about some of the shadowy people didn't know, is that the high vibe people can be very patient with people because they're very loving and encouraging people, and they don't want to pick up their investment in people. Kind of, when it does happen, it could be abrupt, but they don't just easily pick up their investment in people because they really do emotionally invest in people. They're not trying to manipulate people for their own selfish reasons. They really put in work and effort to try to make a relationship work. And, we'd like the things that we put work and effort into to work. But some of the people right now that are kind of trying to manipulate people, like if you keep staying focused on truth and love and loving and believing in yourself and kind of working through your emotional confusion and not letting me deceive and manipulate you, well, then I'm going to turn my back to you. And I'm not going to try to work things out or balance things out with you, because I think it'll put you back in a mental prison. It's like somebody trying to use the love that they know you have for them to manipulate you and control you. And as people keep saying, nope, they can do what they want to do, I'm going to stay focused on truth and love and putting in work and effort to maintain balance within myself, love myself. And as time goes by, it kind of becomes more and more evident that your truth isn't my truth, and how you want to move forward in life isn't how I want to move forward in life, that basically our dreams are different. And it kind of becomes kind of evident in the sun, kind of like revealing the truth of the situation. And sometimes people can no longer deny the truth that some people do want to work together with people in deep, meaningful relationships in high vibe Scorpio, and some people don't. And it's always trying to confuse people about the truth of who they are and wanting us to be confused about the truth of who they are. But the more we keep staying focused on truth and love and are maintaining balance and working cooperatively with people, the more we see the people in our world who don't do that in turn with us. And some people that are in those situations right now are doing their work within themselves to balance out their emotions about the truth of the situation. And it could be people either in their family, people they wanted to be in a long-term relationship or family with, people they wanted to be in a long-term friendship with, or could be a workplace too, that I might have to pick up my investment in this and quit going back and forth about the truth from a place of love for myself. if I'm trying to inspire people in truth and love, to inspire them to work through their fears and insecurities, to love themselves, I can only offer a loving and encouraging and supportive environment. They have to make that free will choice to love themselves, work through their own emotional confusion, and they have to be inspired to even want to do that. Again, it takes work and effort. And some people are like, no, I don't want to look at it. Because the truth sets us free, but we can choose to stay in denial of the truth, ignore the truth. And that's when people are more thinking, I think I'm going to keep operating from my shadowy Leo ego nature. I don't have to do that. I don't have to work through my emotional confusion. I don't have to put work and effort into a relationship. There's other loving people out there that I'll just go manipulate one of them. Or because I think I might look attractive or successful or whatever, I think there'll be other people who will be willing to get in a relationship with me. And that's when some high vibe people are like, yeah, I've worked through all the mental confusion of it. I don't view you anymore as someone that I view as someone I think I can have like a more long-term emotionally fulfilling relationship. Might I still have to work with you? Might you still be in my family? Yeah. Might you live in my community? Yeah. But do I have to invest more time, energy, and effort into you? No. I can let you do that and live your life the way you want to live it. And I can put work and effort. You do you, and I'm going to do me. And high vibe people are going to communicate to people in their life that they have been enlightened to some truth, because Virgo energy is about going within to find the truth. And the difference between the Eight of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles is the Six of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy, about a philosophy of life that we had, which could have been a way of just how we viewed the world, how we viewed ourselves, how we viewed relationships, a philosophy of life that we had, and that we no longer view life that way anymore. We've kind of been enlightened to a truth. There was a way of viewing life from the One to the Three and the Two of Wands. We had this way of viewing life, and we were sure if we took action towards that way of life, that our dreams would come into reality and we'd be happy. And it could have been in Taurus energy being more motivated and inspired either by these things of the world, being in a relationship, making our life more about status and image or things we wanted to indulge in to feel better. Could have been a philosophy of life. It could have been, Taurus covers so many things. It can be religion, it can be race, it can be just all these different perspectives that people can have in life. And we all grow up in families that have a certain way of viewing life and how they interact with each other and how they treat each other. Some people could have grown up in families where people were more in a mental prison about love, maybe did live more from their mind than their heart, maybe were more emotionally shallow, superficial, got in relationships, because it kind of made practical, logical sense. It looked like love, but it maybe really wasn't their dream, but, they were willing to settle for the illusion. Other people could grow up in families with people who really were kind of more motivated and inspired to live their more authentic life, didn't get more caught up in the illusion of the world, and like, oh, you have to do this and you can't do that, and you can only talk to these people and not those people. It's like, what the hell? I'm just going to live my life. I don't want to try to manipulate and control people, but I also don't have all these rules and regulations in my head that some other people have. And I think I can maybe enjoy all sorts of different people. They don't all have to live life like me or dress like me or act like me or be on a social strata as me. But I can enjoy people, just like you can enjoy working together with people that could be all on the different age spectrum. I can work with people and enjoy people that are all of different socioeconomic and religious and ethnic and whatever. Why, you know, why make those things a point of contention, right? But for some people, those are very big things, in different areas of, we all know examples from reading the newspaper, right? And some people have put in work and effort to free themselves more from things that manipulate them. There could be some people who kind of like to be in a relationship with someone who's freed themselves from and does live their life more authentically, but they could have fear of being more authentic themselves, because it can be this fear of what would people say and what about other people in my life? Would they be okay with it? I might not be living my life like they live their life. Maybe they're more controlled by the world or ego or image, and I would no longer be living my life like that, and I'd be just living my more authentic life. And they could be afraid that some of the people in their life would turn their back to them if they kind of live their more authentic life. And it's like, well, I have my own authentic life, and if I'm not trying to control them and tell them how to live their life, so many of these things are just unspoken, right? Why do I get this feeling, and it could be energetic and the other people are trying to convey it? It's like, again, these unspoken things. And people just know. I know if I live my more authentic life, there's going to be some people in my life that won't like that. And they could maybe turn their back to me. It's like, well, is that love? If you don't, if you, just don't make your life, I know some people, if you just live your life more authentic and basically don't let us manipulate and control you, like we can try to control and manipulate everyone else in the friend group or family group, we're going to turn our back on you. Well, high vibe energy is also being more independent. When are you going to become more independent and just live your authentic life? Whether you want to be a more shadowy person and be more immature, lustful, and greedy, or if you want to be a more high vibe person. Because even the people who want to be more shadowy could be afraid that some people in their life would kind of disapprove of them, right? Are you going to live your more authentic life or are you not? Some people, because they're so caught up in having to present themselves a certain way and want to look like a shining star in the world and have people view them a certain way, they're not really living their authentic life. There's people they would like to be in friendships and relationships with, and so instead, they're just creating an illusion with someone they're working with in a relationship, but it's really not their dream. Really? Well, high vibe people, it's not the ego and the image, and they don't want to create an illusion with people. They don't want to deceive and manipulate people. And they're just trying to live their authentic life, invest in the people in their life who are just and fair and loving and warm and authentic. And there might be some people in their life that they're kind of losing some patience with, who they might think are more bossy and controlling. And they're thinking of picking up their investment in some of those people and letting them go. And, you do your life, I'll do my life. Can we still, if you want, can we still be friends? Can we still know each other? Can we still see you at Christmas? I'm open to it. I just might not want to invest more of my time, energy, and effort into you. And to a degree, some of those people don't want to either. Because, so with a lot of people in our life, the fact that we're different and we have different dreams and goals and motivations, it doesn't matter because we're not really hanging out with them that much anyway. It's just social acquaintances and people we know. And even if it is like brothers and sister and family, they live their life, we live our life, and it doesn't really matter. It's just people that we did want to have work together with us more cooperatively from love. That's more challenging. And we can be confused why they're acting that way. And, the truth sets us free. If they were motivated and inspired to be a more just, fair, loving, authentic person, they would be. And if they're not, I have to see the truth of it. And I have to accept the truth of it. And I don't really want to invest more time, energy, and effort into them either. And sometimes when some people are acting like that, it's because they want to go have a new beginning. But if they are people that are more about their ego and image, they want you to be the one to leave. So then maybe they can play the victim, because if they're not very authentic, warm, and loving with people, it is more their ego and their image that they have to work with people. So then they might play the victim in a way, and or want to blame someone else or whatever. And high vibe people you can get out of relationships, and it doesn't have to be that one person has to be an awful person. We just have different goals or ambitions or dreams, and we're not really on the same page. But for other people, that's not okay. There has to be a winner and a loser, and they want you to be the loser. So let's go see what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius energy. They are inspired when it seems like things within them manipulate them, or people in their world are trying to manipulate them. They offer love. High vibe Leos and the sun is offering love to yourself and to the situation, to work through the emotional confusion of it. And just, I want to live my authentic truth. And shadowy energy can be where people, again, are trying to limit you, restrict you, oppress you, confine you, trap you with them in a relationship or a job. It's like, that's not love, and I don't want to be manipulated like that. So, what's coming up? We have a card that fell on the floor that is not showing itself. And the reason it came out is because of the sun card. So, because you're doing this work within yourself, it's helping you maintain balance and see the truth of the situation. And that's that you needed to work through how you harness this energy in a more shadowy way, because when you harness it in a more shadowy way, other shadowy people were able to manipulate you because of it. And then when you work through it, you don't want people in your life that are in that more shadowy energy, and you're willing to cut those people kind of out of your life. Some of those people don't know that, since this card isn't showing itself. Six of Cups. The Six of Cups, like the Seven of Cups, is Scorpio energy. We're these emotionally complex human beings. We have deep emotional connections with people. And, it could be people that we've known from childhood, people that we wanted to be in these long-term relationships with, where we could be more authentically ourselves, but we feel like people are using that loving nature within that we have to manipulate us. And that's not just and fair. Love is supposed to be just and fair. And as we work through that emotional confusion, some people just aren't just and fair. They don't want to be just and fair. And some of them are kind of just all more about themselves and being indulged. And they have told themselves it's just and fair. And then they think other people should indulge them in that way, because they think it's just and fair. You should too. And then there's some shadowy people in the world that somewhere along the line in their life, they decided that being loving was just a way for them to be manipulated, and they weren't going to be manipulated anymore. If there's going to be people out in the world manipulated, they were going to go manipulate those people. They aligned like with the dark side. And it's like, I might have known you from childhood, you might be part of my family, but if you're not treating me in a just and fair way and putting in work and effort from love to work together with me, then I wish you peace. Go do what you want to go do. And I'm no longer letting the past manipulate me. I'm no longer letting my desire, the Six of Cups, can want to have balance. I can truly only have balance if the other people truly want balance. Otherwise, I'm doing all the work to try to maintain the balance. And it's kind of like, again, settling for the illusion because it's not balanced. And I don't want the illusion. It's either truthful and authentic and loving, or it's not. So some people don't realize, some of the people who even in your past or recently could have turned their back on you thinking you're still in a mental prison. They don't realize that you've been illuminated to the truth of who they are. You're not deceived and manipulated. But some people could think, oh, they're still in a mental prison, I'm going to go do this and this and this. And they're not going anywhere because they're still like caught up in the illusion of me. It's like, no, I'm no longer an illusion about you. And as you move forward, loving and believing in yourself and putting in work and effort, you've let go of that old dream and you're having a new beginning. And that might be when some of the more shadowy people are illuminated to the truth of like, what? They're not looking to me anymore? I thought they were all confused and in a mental prison. Well, I was really just trying to manipulate them. I did want to be in a relationship with them. I just wasn't willing to get out of my ego and illuminate the truth and grow up and mature myself. It's like, well, you were playing games, juggling. Other people healed, and they don't even view you as someone they want to be in a relationship with anymore. And then they're kind of illuminated to the truth of it. And then some of them could kind of be in a mental prison because they thought, well, if I do this and this and this, I know they love me and I know they wanted a dream to come into reality. I'm sure I can juggle them and go invest in other things or other people or do whatever the hell I want to go do. And I just thought they would always be like an option. I was like, no, I don't view you as an option anymore. And then they see the truth that maybe some of the people they were kind of working with are the people they're going to have to keep working with. But they could have only been working with some of those people in order to manipulate some high vibe people. And now they're kind of in a mental prison that they're going to have to stay in the illusion they created with someone else because they were hoping the person they were trying to manipulate would be willing to work with them. And if that person had been willing to work with them, they would have let go of this illusion they were creating with someone else. And that didn't work out. So they thought they were so smart, and now they're kind of stuck in an illusion that they created with people they maybe really don't want to be in a relationship with, that they were using to try to manipulate someone else. And while that's their outcome, the other high vibe people aren't repeating a poor past pattern with people who play games and act like this. And those people are having a new beginning with other people who are inspired to put in work and effort to love, not being deceptive and manipulative. And those people get to have a brand new beginning. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Sagittarius energy that they might not see coming? The Emperor, the King of Cups, and the Knight of Pentacles. Why? Because of the King of Wands. So, well, shadowy people thought they were the boss and that they wrote everyone's life story. I'm going to do this and this and this. And because I think I'm like God in the world, if I do this, those people will be in their ego. Those people's dreams won't come into reality. Those people will be in a mental prison. Those people will be confused. That's kind of like the devil trying to, and negative people in the world just being negative in the world. Look, I threw that person under the bus. Look, I kicked that person to the curb. Look, I was mean and rude and prideful and egotistical, and I turned my back on people that were loving, who put in work and effort to not act in this way, because of course I don't like people who don't act like how I act. And I thought for sure I would like dominate and control over them. But those people worked through it. And why are some of these people shadowy? Because they could have had shadowy people in their life, but until they work through all that and see when it was that they gave up their dreams and decided to be a more shadowy, intimidating, controlling, prideful, egotistical, immature person in the world. And then they see that it didn't work. The tactics that worked on them to be more shadowy didn't work on these people, and they are confused as to why. Well, if anybody had done that to me, boy, I would have been in a mental prison. I would have been trying to get those people to like me and to be my friend, and that I'm confused why they turn their back on me and why they don't like me. And the high vibe people were like, wow, that person's bossy or rude or prideful or egotistical. I see the truth of it. I don't want to deal with those people. My dreams can't come into reality with someone like that. And they don't get caught up in the ego of it. I just see that person is unkind, unjust, unfair, full of themselves, hurtful, whatever. I don't know why, but I don't want to work with them, and I'm going to go work with people who are more loving and aren't more egotistical or whatever. Could they have a certain status, image, power, influence in the world? Yeah, but they can still be like a person I don't want to be in a relationship with, because they've shown me they have negative traits and characteristics. That I'm going to go work with the people who are loving, who don't act like that. And the shadowy people think for sure by being this type of person it's going to work out in their benefit. And they might be trying to get other people who have a certain status or image, at least in their mind. Other people could think they're a complete idiot, but everybody can have their type of clique group that they're trying to appeal to get them to validate their worth and value. High vibe people validate their own worth and value, and they take their validation from more just and fair and loving people instead of more prideful, hurtful, egotistical people. The shadowy people will always have more high vibe people in their life. People who are inspired by love, who want to invest in these people because they were caught up probably in the illusion of who they are, or caught up kind of and inspired by the ego or the image, or just that they love them. And eventually some of the high vibe people in their life see the truth. The Knight of Pentacles, like the Eight of Pentacles, is Virgo energy. Why am I trying to get these people to like me or love me? Why am I so caught up in these people? And they work through their own issues. Am I kind of more caught up in the ego or the image? Am I more codependent? I might love them, but what if they weren't? Sometimes we do have to take money out of the equation, because as human beings we can really kind of be influenced by stability and security and stuff like that. What if they didn't have money? Would I keep more putting up with their ass, or would I not? If it's maybe a more romantic relationship or a job. If it's a friendship, we could just find it more confusing, like why are they doing that? But anyway, I think eventually they're going to have more high vibe people in their life who see the truth that these people harness this energy in a more shadowy way. Fiery Aries, fiery Cancer, more fired up emotionally to operate more from their ego or be more about themselves. And they could use, again, if you're in shadowy energy, you use your emotions manipulatively. You use your sexuality manipulatively. You use your words and your charm and your money and everything you got manipulatively, because that's what they have to offer. They harness shadowy Virgo energy too. I have these things of the world. I have a certain persona in the world. I have a certain status or image in the world. I look a certain way. Whatever they got, that's what they offer people. And when other people are thinking, because they present themselves as these people who are motivated and inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness, and some people bought into the illusion, and they've been kind of waiting for the dream to come into reality, but the dream never comes into reality. And some of those people could have been thinking that they didn't have enough status or image, or weren't outgoing enough, or weren't loving enough, or weren't have enough status, image, or power, right? And then you kind of realize, wait a minute, I bring truth and love and I put in work and effort. Is that not good enough for you? Do I not think that's good enough? Do I have to act this way and do these things and put on a show? I shouldn't have to put on a show. I should be able to be authentically myself and people love me because I'm not acting from shadowy energy. I want to work cooperatively with them in a just and fair and authentic and loving way. And eventually people realize that what they're bringing to the table is something of value, but the people in their life don't value it because they're more inspired by things of the world. And other people finally see the truth and they get inspired to be a good leader in their own life, to love themselves, to put in the work and effort to free themselves from their more, also kind of being maybe in some King of Wands energy. High Vibe Emperor harnesses all four of the kings, and they could have just been, and I do think the fire energy is the last one, because in our heart and our mind and our emotional nature, we can learn a lot of lessons in those things, but until in our fire sign energy, we're inspired to quit being more motivated and inspired by our ego or our fear or whatever, that's when our life changes. Because in our earth sign energy, then also, what used to drive and motivate us more was these things of the world, and now it's more about being inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness. But the other people want to just keep offering, wearing their false mask, male or female, and offering things of the world. And eventually, what they don't see coming is high vibe people move away from them, and the people who keep investing in them are other people who are wearing a false mask. I'll be in a relationship with you. I'll stay in a relationship with you. I'll keep working together with you in a relationship with you. It's good for my ego and my image. It makes me look like a boss in the world. And those are things that drive and motivate me. And I'm less motivated by love also. And then I think both people are kind of in a mental prison because they could both be afraid that the other person will see, because if they're both just trying to create an illusion that it's love, when it's not love, always afraid that the other person will see through the illusion. But for those that are in a relationship where they're both creating an illusion of love, what if someone comes along who has more status, more image, more power, more influence, more attractive, whatever? Well, they're not in the relationship for love. They're in the relationship for these other reasons. Well, if anyone else comes along that has more of those things, they could turn their back on these people because they weren't in it for love anyway. In their Gemini free will, they're more motivated and inspired by these things of the world. Well, what do you have? Well, how much status, image, power do you have? How fearful are you? How much are you willing to indulge me? I am in a relationship with this person. It's kind of going okay, but what do you have? Oh, well, then I'll go invest in you. Or if this person kind of wants me to grow up a little bit more, or temper my ego a little bit more than I like to, who is willing to more indulge me where I don't have to do that? It's basically people who maybe might want to focus on themselves or their career or what they indulge in, but not really growing and maturing themselves. And so if anybody, the relationship works so long as nobody wants them to grow or heal or mature themselves or do love. I was like, I'm not doing that. And I'm also not growing and healing, maturing myself. And I'll go find someone else to go get in a relationship with. Some people are in a mental prison because someone could have illuminated the truth, that they did view them as someone that they wanted a dream to come into reality with, but because of some issues of their own, which they could have illuminated them to, those people could illuminate it to them that they're no longer putting in work and effort into being more caught up in these things of the world. And they would like to work with them. And they're more balanced now, and they don't want to balance things out with some other people in their life. And some people are just having a hard time listening to their intuition or going back and forth. Do I think this person's telling the truth? Do I not think they're telling the truth? Do I think they're trying to emotionally manipulate me, or are they not? Should I stay living my life the way I'm living it, or hanging out with the people I'm hanging out with, or should I not? And I think the people who keep putting in that work and effort eventually see the truth of who they should let go of to be, if they're willing to be more authentic and speak their truth and believe in themselves, to listen to their intuition, that why stay in something if it's just an illusion anyway? It's probably not going to work out the way you think anyway. And there could be people that they know in their life who aren't repeating old patterns of the past, who have learned lessons in life and grown and healed and matured themselves. And as you people move forward, you could have people that communicate with you, and they could tell you, whatever about their life, or if you already knew each other, whatever. And I think high vibe people, no matter what, would probably want to communicate with people to work through the emotional confusion and get to the truth. I want to be illuminated to the truth. Are you willing to be authentic and truthful? And do I think you're being deceptive or manipulative? That would be Seven of Swords. And if people aren't seeming to be deceptive and manipulative, and they seem to be authentic, and they do seem to have worked through some things that manipulated them, and no longer going back and forth, and don't want to repeat some poor past patterns and ways of viewing life and relationships, and they want to have new beginnings, people would be willing to have new beginnings with them. Sometimes if it's a romantic relationship, sometimes people aren't willing to be in a more romantic relationship again, but they might, I'm glad we got that all resolved and I'm happy for you. And if I'm in another relationship, I'm in another relationship. But it's just nice that nobody's in a mental prison and confused or wondering about their worth and value or anything like that. Some shadowy people are going to keep offering people things of the world. Probably because they're in a mental prison about love. And they might stay in relationships that are more of an illusion, as long as this makes them look good by worldly standards. It's like, well, I'm going to have sex with someone in a relationship. I'll have sex with this person. Because it's just creating an illusion anyway. It's not love. As long as it's good for my ego and image, I treat it more like a job. This is the job I'm in right now. This is the person I'm having sex with. This is the person I'm presenting myself as loving to. And high vibe people have probably already been in relationships with people like that. So anybody they meet, they're just going to listen to their intuition about those people, get to know them. And there's no guarantees in life, but believing that, I can invest in people, get to know them more. If at some future point in time, I think we're not on the same page, or I think, they're being kind of shadowy, I'll illuminate the truth of it. We'll kind of deal with it, and we might go our own ways. But, I can let my inner child out to play in the world, because I think I can pick it up and dust it off and get it back on its way again. Some other people don't want to do love because it would completely, devastate them, and they don't know how to pick themselves back up. Maybe because they never let their inner child nature out to play to begin with. So they keep letting their ego run their life. But there you go, Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.